I'm Keith Hamer. This is my Rochdale Olympic Phase 1, which I've owned for quite a few years now. The prototype Olympic was first built in 1959. The production cars went into production in about 1960, mid to late 1960. With the exception of the Lotus Elite, this is one of the first GRP monocoques ever made. The concept of the Olympic was effectively very similar to what Lotus and TVR were doing in the period, which was to avoid the then purchase tax, which was quite onerous. They were supplied as a complete kit of parts, which was absolutely everything you needed. The basis for the Phase 1 is effectively Riley 1.5 or Morris 1000. The Phase 2s were done in exactly the same manner. The component parts for those being Triumph front suspension with a Ford engine, although later on the Phase 2 was available with the Riley or the Morris 1000 engine as an option. There were a number of companies that Rochdale Motor Panels used which would take their parts and build the car for the customer, and in fact Rochdale Motor Panels did do a few as turnkey cars. During its production there were approximately 250 Phase 1s produced. There was a big overlap between the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. Effectively, the Phase 1 remained in production even when the Phase 2s were being made, and the factory realistically retired the Phase 1 moulds in about 1967. There were approximately 150 Phase 2s produced. The production of Rochdale Olympics in general kind of died down towards the end of the 1960s. The final Phase 2 to be produced was around the end of 1972. Under the skin there are fairly major differences between the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. To the average passerby, the simplest way of saying whether it's a Phase 1 or a Phase 2 is that the Phase 2 had a lifting hatchback, very similar to the Jaguar E-Type. This car was first built in 1961. I am actually only the second owner of this car, and I've had it for about 8 years and used it on a very regular basis from that point. I've had to do very little work to the car. Just for my own purposes, I painted it orange. It's a little bit noisy, it's a little bit smelly, but it's a very entertaining drive. Well, the car weighs about 1300 weight, which I'm not sure what that is in modern parlance, but because of its light weight, it's able to keep up with basically anything that's on the road now. You have to be, if you own something like this, is friendly and able to talk to people. We're always getting asked questions about what is it, where does it come from, who made it, how old is it. I think that's the biggest thing that most people are surprised at, the fact that it's all but 60 years old. The beauty of GRP over steel is that we don't suffer from the rust problem. There aren't any real problems with it. The only problems would occur if the thing was involved in an accident, which can be repaired very simply by effectively reproducing what the original manufacturers did, which is replacing the damaged parts. As far as classic cars are concerned, the Rochdale, particularly the Olympic, isn't expensive. You can pick a good example of a Rochdale Olympic for well under £10,000, and as far as depreciation is concerned, it's something that you don't really need to consider. If anything, they are slowly creeping up in value. Nowadays we tend to stay fairly local, but it's more than capable of doing 200-300 miles. I think the longest trip we've done recently was down to a car show in Birmingham. Once you get your head round the fact that the car's almost 60 years old, if you can accept the fact that it's a classic car and handles like a classic car, it's capable of doing both cruising and a bit of lively driving if that's the way you want to go. The only thing I'd like to add is that for me personally, it's a really nice car to drive. It's an involving drive. You have to drive the car rather than allow all the modern electronics to take over and drive the car for you.